Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Carissa Wyatt, and today I will be talking to you guys about my research design topic and how I will be going about my study.
Okay, so topic of interest. My topic of interest for my study, I will be discussing mental illnesses, and within the following slide, I will elaborate more on that issue. For my topic of research, I will be discussing mental illnesses, but more specifically, I will be focusing on mental illnesses in young adults. Under this topic, I will be exploring the lenses of depression and anxiety and the effect that it has amongst college students. And I will be looking towards the role that depression and anxiety has on a student's academic performance as well as their social performance, and see if there's any correlation within this illness. I chose to examine this because psychological disorders are a crucial issue at hand. Mental illnesses are more prevalent in today's society than ever before, and the rate of young adults who are experiencing mental health issues are continuing to increase. Not to mention, college dropout rates are also continuing to be on the rise. Mental health. Okay guys, so mental health is just as important as physical health. And honestly, that is something that should be emphasized in secondary schooling institutions. But mental health basically includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we feel, how we think, and how we act. And it also helps in determining how we choose to handle the stress in our lives and other factors. So mental health is continuing to be an escalating issue, and it's becoming more prevalent within young adults. For instance, the number of students who are using counseling centers have increased by 30%. And not to mention, as I mentioned previously, mental health does affect the way we feel about ourselves and our productivity and development in life. So how else should we go about our day if our psychological being is not well? So according to a recent study done by the American College Health Association, they reported that 42% of students rank anxiety as their number one concern in college. And following that is depression. The thing is with mental illnesses, if it's not well, then it will lead to psychological dysfunction, which does and perhaps may play a role into how a person goes about their day, how they interact with others, or how they try to complete any work assignments that are given to them. So, what is depression? Coming from my own personal experience, I have come across numerous people who have joked about depression and have made jokes towards people who say they are suffering from depression, and that is simply because they have a lack of understanding. Depression isn't simply just feeling sad. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, depression is a chronic mood disorder that severely affects the way a person thinks, feels, and handles daily situations, such as eating, sleeping, and working. This illness is caused by a variety of factors, which consist of a combination of biological, genetic, environmental, and psychological. Also, it's really imperative to know that this illness leads to cognitive impairment, which basically affects the way our concentration, our memory, and the way we make decisions in life. Also, this illness has a major performance decrease to those who have this illness. Those who have depression basically don't want to do things anymore. They lack motivation and will. This illness is dangerous because it could potentially lead to suicide, and suicide is the second leading cause of death within young adults. Along with the performance decrease, it also leads to social dysfunction, which is basically lack of motivation, will, and lack of interest in wanting to be around other people. Although this illness can happen at any age, students are at a greater risk in developing further problems. Due to the consistent feelings of worthlessness, guilt, and having decreased energy, depressed students are at a higher risk in adapting bad coping mechanisms. Some of these mechanisms include substance abuse and risky behavior. So another mental health issue that many college students face, well actually the majority of college students are facing, is anxiety disorder. The symptoms of this disorder consist of loss of appetite, being easily fatigued, being irritable, and having an irrational fear and excessive worry. Those who have anxiety tend to be avoidant towards situations, and usually those with anxiety are avoidant towards social situations. So I pulled up some fun facts for you guys, just to let you guys have a better insight into this illness. So anxiety is the #1 mental health diagnosis on campuses across the nation. And it's a big problem because the psychological issue is prevalent amongst young adults, which means those who are between the ages of 18 to 25 years old. And so some of these fun facts, well, I guess they're fun. Well, these facts, 41.6% of college students are concerned with anxiety, and the second concern under that is depression. To kind of put this whole thing into retrospect, 1 out of 6 college students are diagnosed or treated with anxiety. This mental health issue basically has the same risk factors as depression, which means that it's caused by different factors of environmental, psychological, development, or genetic issues. And it's really important to think about this issue because 75% of all mental health issues begin by the age of 24, which is a pretty young age, in my opinion. The National Institute of Mental Health did a study in 2015, and they discovered that over 22% of students claim that this disorder, anxiety, has negatively impacted their academic performance within school. In order to examine this even further, my selected research question that I chose is, does having depression and anxiety hinder students from academic and social achievement? The hypothesis for my research is individuals who suffer from depression and anxiety are more likely to struggle academically and socially while in college. And so through my study, I hope to find the answer to this. The way I intend to go about my design is through survey research and by doing a questionnaire. I believe that this is the best way because you can document and collect the various experiences and have a variety of feedback with one's race, gender, and ethnicity, and get to compare their experiences. My sample population would be undergrad students at the University of North Florida who are between the ages of 18 years old to 25 years old. In implementing my research, my unit of analysis will be the undergraduate students attending the University of North Florida. My sample size, I intend to have at least 200 participants for this survey. And my target audience will be the young adults between the ages of 18 to 25 years old. In order for me to go about my research, it is important that I identify my variables for my design. For instance, my dependent variable will be the grade point average of the undergraduate student and their academic work, such as class assignments and test scores. Also, I would be evaluating their social engagement by doing a questionnaire and evaluating their responses. Lastly, in going about my research, I will apply the rating scale in this way so I could record and document the participants' responses and be able to evaluate the variety and differences between their behaviors with the responses and from the questions that were posed. The resources that I have available to me will be the Counseling Center at the University of North Florida as well as the Registrar's Office. And it is important to me that I have ethics along with my research. It's essential that I make sure that all of my participants' rights will be protected because that's really important. First and foremost, I will seek approval from the Institutional Review Board at this university. To sum everything up, it's important to keep in mind that people who are disturbed emotionally will eventually lead to deterioration of their minds and be able to hinder them from going about their daily lives and conducting and being able to do their necessary activities. Also, since young adults are under immense pressure through college, I'm excited to see through my research where this will take me and seeing if my hypothesis will be correct or proven wrong.